far as these bans are concerned. So we shall see. As Syndra and Rise both taken away, there's the victor as well, as the champion select is going to catch up. Make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that you send in your questions to Twitter using the hashtag AskTheCasters, and we'll be looking to bring you some answers during the game. And of course, you guys have been very vocal about wanting this matchup, and now we're going to need to hear your questions based on it as well. So the pressure is most certainly on to get those questions in. But Kenan is going to round out the bans for Samsung Galaxy, same as game number 1. And the Jhin is going to be the adaptation here from C9. So we move into their last ban.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious if Samsung Galaxy is going to go with any sort of wonky team composition to sort of throw Cloud9 off, who probably is already under immense pressure right now, given that this is their tournament life. This is match point. Oh no.
Yeah, there's the Olaf one more time, and Samsung Galaxy are not taking too long to think about these whatsoever. But for the first time, we may see pick away the Karma, which has been pretty big.
Yep, I think they'll take the Karma Caitlyn here, especially since they banned Jhin. So Ruler will have to go on something like Ezreal.
Yep.
Maybe Lucian, but then he loses in range for sure. And then the lane gets pushed in. But Samsung can actually kind of pivot and maybe go for a Tahm Kench now that it's up.
Yeah, something like a, Jinx we've seen a little bit. Ruler could opt to that, but, Sivir is there if you want to concede lane and just go for that late game AoE damage.
I definitely do like, though, that the Caitlyn Karma doesn't really give away too much of what Cloud9's team composition is going to be, and so they're able to get a lot of information from Samsung Galaxy right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Cassiopeia comes in for sure. It's something that, with all of these mid lane bans that are actually coming through, it's kind of left up without too much of a counter. The Orianna and maybe the Varus early on are the two that I can think of that will maybe deal with it. But Orianna in the laning phase against Cassiopeia, we haven't seen it fare incredibly well yet.
Apart from the solo kill that we can never forget.
Yeah.
We're looking at a highlight reel from this series. It is Jensen solo killing Crown Orianna versus Cassiopeia, and we're not going to look at the result, like nothing else.
But that's the entire highlight reel for Cloud9.
The entire highlight reel.
It.
That's it. Yep. Nailed it. And the beginning of the pick-off onto CoreJJ on the bottom side of the map.
Yep.
Just don't watch the rest of it.
Wonder where the Aurelion Soul is. Aurelion was left up.
Probably at the very top of
you're
beating the champions.
Yeah, he's been getting left up.
This
is actually very, very surprising.
Yeah. Both Jensen and Crown not necessarily known for their Aurelion Soul play. And we have seen Aurelion Soul do fantastically well with the players that are incredibly good at the champion. And maybe it is just a stylistic thing that you can't necessarily just play it straight out of the box.
Ugh. Okay.
And we are seeing that Cassiopeia versus Orianna matchup yet again.
Yeah, Aurelion Soul, actually fares pretty well into Cassiopeia. I'm surprised.
Yeah,
I'm quite surprised. The Jayce as well.
We saw Maple actually win in that exact matchup against Faker. Theoretically.
Yeah.
Even though in lane, Faker did have some pretty sweet dancing.
You just get out of lane and go elsewhere.
Yeah.
As well. But yes, I do think that this Jayce might be a little bit too early in my opinion, since you do have a last pick and you'd be able to see exactly what they're running, because now it gives them the option to actually draft even more hard engage. They already had the Sivir, and impact on a Gnar, he could have actually seen what matchup he's going into and maybe played that.
Well,
the other thing about the Jayce that I don't really like particularly is, last game in particular, I don't feel like Cloud9 really played around the way that Jayce teleports in very well. And so even if Impact does get a lead, I don't trust their team play ability to coordinate with a Jayce on teleport. So it doesn't make me feel very comfortable.
Yeah, and it feels like their composition is a little bit all over the place with, a lot of range coming out of the Caitlyn and Jayce, I guess, but Jensen probably wanting people to be able to engage on C9's terms. We're looking at Meteos' pick to really be something that can give C9 a way to get in, and that Zac is a decent option for that. Or Vi. That could be 1-2. 1-2.
Yeah.
Some batteries and people with the ball. Oh, that's the dream. Oh, don't be playing with my heart right now, Meteos.
It's funny because I don't think it would be completely awful. It'd be pretty bad, but in the composition, it would be pretty hilarious.
Could it actually get any worse, though, Zirene, is the question.
Yeah.
Well, certainly not this, because we all know Meteos is Zac, and that is a champion that has seen a lot of bans so far. Not a lot of playtime by the man.
Yeah, and this being a mid lane stream, I'd really like to focus on how Meteos will be ganking mid as the Zac, because Zac has some very unique ways to get into mid. Covering the Raptor pit, you have to ward it a little bit more often. and make sure that Ambition has some control over the jungle, because if it gets out of control, there's just so much fog of war on this low mobility Cassiopeia that you really have to watch out for the Zac.
Yep.
Yeah, scary. But what does Samsung Galaxy want to be doing this time around? If we're having a look at the composition as a whole before we hop into this game, I mean, it's looking far less range coming out of the team. Is this like a run-at-you composition? Just pop on the hunt, like use it as a donkey whistle and just get yourself in there?
It's a very all-in team composition. One of the things that I do want to point out is one of the interesting things about Zac is that it does enable Jayce to actually go for executes on Poppy underneath the tower 2v1, whereas Poppy would generally be immune versus a pretty wide array of 2v2 jungler combos, and so that's not going to be, you know, too problematic for Samsung Galaxy to deal with. But in the mid lane, the Olaf is, I think, only going to be counter ganking and match ganking, similarly to game number 2.
Okay.
And so maybe Samsung Galaxy is going to have another slow-paced game where they just all of a sudden explode once they get their first or second core items.
Yeah, we have actually been seeing that out of this team as well. The fact that they have been slowly getting through the early to mid game. After that point, they find a team fight, they find something, and they just destroy C9.
And we're talking about that Jayce pick and the Zac right now. Those are two picks that, if CuVee plays it right, he can actually shut them down. Like, Zac can almost never have a way in on a team fight if you're using Poppy W to stop the Zac Elastic Slingshot.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It feels pretty bad. So CuVee actually has some great tools on this champion in the top lane. He just has to survive the laning phase, which will almost always go in Jayce's favor. Jayce will probably be up like 20 CS, maybe even take his turret. Depends on how much he gets crushed.
But doesn't really matter. Poppy will still be Poppy.
Very serviceable, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Samsung milling about towards the bottom side of the mid lane.
Yeah, actually going all the way in.
This is cute. I've seen this in a lot of my solo queue games. It's Cloud9 defensive positioning here from Sneaky.
Well, the most interesting thing about that invade is they didn't place any wards.
Yeah, just cruising.
Yep.
Well, sometimes you get a little bit in need of a walk. They've been sitting there for 2 games so far, so maybe just stretching their legs a little bit, getting themselves out and amongst it. It's Meteos towards the top side of the map.
Oh, this is nice.
Yeah, and we're seeing the Caitlyn Karma cheese.
Oh, beautiful.
But it's probably going to be sniffed out. It seems
exactly
that
what they
Samsung
did
Galaxy
game 2.
is sniffing it out, indeed.
Yeah. Well, I think we have time as we have a look at the mid lane, which is our focus at the moment. We have time to have a look at one Twitter question that is coming in from Rai, who says, what's the strongest team comp archetype this Worlds? Is it Karma plus Control Mage mid plus Olaf / Skarner Rek'Sai? Is that sort of the vibe here at the moment for Worlds?
I feel like the best team compositions are the ones that have a lot of gears. Because the games have been very random at some points, depending on who you've been watching play. And I feel like team compositions that are able to do multiple things or, you know, go into multiple styles, depending on game flow or what does end up occurring, is the most beneficial so far this World.
So rewarding adaptation.
Yeah. And it's actually interesting because Olaf and Skarner are both seeing a lot of play right now, especially in this series, where they're some of the most one-dimensional picks in the jungle in terms of if they get behind, they aren't really that useful. They just run at you, and if they can't accomplish that, then they're bad. So compositions have kind of been all over the place. Like SKT have run really high execution, poke comps, disengage. So I don't know if there's exactly a meta right now for Worlds. I feel it's more on the teams and what they prefer to do, and it's kind of open at the moment.
I personally love that, because seeing a whole lot of different styles and how they match up against each other is definitely good, as Jensen lands a really nice dissonance. And good timing there on the command protect as Crown going through his mana bar.
Oh!
That feast proc was 10 out of 10.
Really, really bad. Jensen has a really big lead in mid right now.
Did Crown just miss a cannon creep and I missed it?
Crown missed a cannon creep, but also the lane is in an unfavorable position for him.
That's basically game over.
Yeah, well, his mana and his HP control is also, I think, worse than Jensen so far.
Jensen might go get blue now, right? No, he's not going to hand it off?
No, it looks like he's walking over there.
Yeah, he is. Cool. Yeah, that's why he was shoving so hard and using all of his mana, because he knew he was going to get this.
Well, that is definitely a good news story. Jensen looked pretty comfortable in this matchup. Orianna versus Cassiopeia last time around. And will now be able to get this shove all the way in. And may not even have to go back to base if he doesn't want to. And we talk about back timings as well. I mean, That's a double Doran's ring here for Crown, unable to start stacking that tier just yet.
That's actually a very bizarre recall timing by Crown, because a player of his level is going to know that even if Jensen is not still in the lane, he is still going to be missing minions. And had that been a little bit more delayed, he would be underneath the turret with a less efficient recall than an Orianna. So the lane would still be disadvantageous. So it's very peculiar to see that recall timing come out from him.
Yeah, he even knows it as well. He actually blew Ghost to get back to lane faster.
Yep.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think it's like priority getting the pink ward in the back pocket to try and make sure he can land that deep and spot out Meteos to at least have like a safe side of the lane?
Well, I think it's more on just the fact that he would be in a disadvantageous position because the blue buff, the Orianna, the position of the lane, and everything like that. So it's more of, you know, backing, it sucks I can't get tier right now, so making the best of a bad situation.
Well, speaking of bad situation, Jensen really looking like he wants to put this team on his back, get themselves through this one.
One of the things that I think Crown did not want to have happen is if he does read that Jensen is getting the blue buff, then what ends up happening is Jensen comes back to the lane, and for the next 2 minutes, he can just expend all of his mana to blow Crown's mana away. And then at that point, Crown is going to end up staying in the lane too long, and he's going to have a very bizarre amount of gold that is very awkward to recall with Cassiopeia, and that's just not something that you want to do. So he tried to get a recall off.
Well, see how it does work out, as Crown is still able to farm at least, but he's behind by 12 CS and a wave and a half.
And just like a random aside here about how the game is going, they just saw Olaf bottom, so Jensen shoves up, knows that he can't get ganked right now, and then they send Meteos to the bottom side to actually take advantage of this Caitlyn Karma lane that's been shoving in. So some really early advantages here, and Jensen hits 6.
Yeah, Thunderlord's proc does go off, but that's a good trade there for Crown. Jensen has at least minions on his side.
It's also a cannon minion wave, so Jensen can shove this.
Oh,
go
fight on the top side of the map. What the heck?
What?
Solo kill first blood for CuVee.
So earlier, Impact got ganked by Ambition and had to trade his Flash for Ghost, I believe. And so he doesn't have Flash, and so CuVee took advantage of that.
Should that even ever happen, though, really? Is Jensen completely out of mana? He does have Flash, is going to use it, but in goes Ambition. One more axe to the face, and Samsung Galaxy once again off to a fantastic start. And in fact, looking like it's possibly even a little bit better here as far as kills go. C9 did at least get that first blood turret, so still hold the gold lead.
And now this is actually going to certainly relieve all the pressure that Jensen had managed to actually create over Crown. And this replay, I mean, this is really nice. So Ambition comes in here, he gets the undertow slow. Jensen flashes way too late. CoreJJ manages to land the flash Q, and he just goes down there, and that just, the lead that he did have is gone.
Yeah, and I feel like this has been a problem with Jensen for a while now, and especially all throughout Worlds, is he's pushing way too far up without Meteos being anywhere nearby to back him up. So Ambition just comes from the top side, comes around, and Jensen is on the other side of the lane, which is just way too aggressive of a position for somebody who has low mana. I understand that he wants to shove the wave all the way to the turret, but it's that extra like second and a half that he spends up there that really just punishes him.
We are going to see a gank towards the top side of the map. Should be Meteos cleaning up CuVee, and does so quite nicely as they've actually switched. The Sneaky has headed up, making sure that he can try and knock down that top outer turret.
Yeah,
but I do want to go back to Twitter for another question here from Pancho Lights Out. Not only because he has a fantastic name, but he also has a very good question, which is why haven't we seen more LeBlanc in the current meta? Is it to do with sort of wave control and killing minions effectively?
It's primarily because the itemization paths that a lot of the mid laners can pick right now really hurt LeBlanc.
Yeah, it's like Null Magic Mantle, first back, or Negatron Cloak.
Yep.
You don't feel too bad about it. A lot of them want to scale to 2 items, 3 items.
Yep, and LeBlanc just is a champion that, I mean, if she falls behind in this current meta, she's just going to be completely useless.
Yeah, she wants to stay ahead of the curve. That's kind of her thing, is try to get you out of lane, but now there's just so many good tools to stay in and so many champions. Like, what would you play her into in the meta that would fare really well? Like, against a Vladimir? No. Against Cassiopeia? No. Syndra, you get kind of bodied.
That's a counter pick.
You get kind of bodied.
Yeah, does sound... Maybe Aurelion Sol?
Aurelion Sol, it's possible. I could actually see that. But Aurelion Sol just gets so tanky, and like Banshee's Veil fits right into his build. All of his items that he buys actually have HP in one of his builds. So
that's a very good point. I'm trying to stay in there for you, Pancho Lights Out, but
yeah, no,
they seem to have some pretty good answers.
But that's the thing is, like, it's great that you're asking these questions because people are going to have the same questions as, like, you know, why not? But it's great that they're answered, so.
Well, we'll see whether anyone is going to pick out the champion. I'm looking at you, EDG. You know, Pawn has done it before.
It's also kind of another reason on top is wave clear. You just don't have really good wave manipulation early game. You kind of feed or kind of, I guess, get your tempo off of trading really heavily and using your W aggressively. And when you do that, you're very gankable. It's not as fast of a wave clear. It's not as safe of a wave clear. It's kind of why we don't see Fizz as well.
Yeah, good point.
You E on Fizz for your wave clear. You max it first. And as soon as you use it, you're the most vulnerable mid lane champion for a bit.
Looks like there's some action actually going up there in the top lane right now. Both mid laners are constrained, though, to this lane.
Oh, Ambition. Yeah, he gets eaten, too. So, yeah, they're completely stuck in this mid lane. Can't do anything to help out these other side lanes. And oh, Cloud9, they're actually losing so much, and it's kind of been off of Ambition's tempo and the way he's setting the pace of the game. He's using his Ghost very actively to trade summoners, and then he revisits, or his lane knows how to push that advantage.
Well, Meg Sheeran comes in with another question from Twitter, which is, start with all the Orianna picks into Cass each time. Why are we seeing this every single time?
It's always been a counter matchup. I was talking with Froggen about it. So the big thing here is that she has a zone of control wherever she places the ball that Cassiopeia can't really enter. You match her wave clear early. You can trade mana by putting the shield on yourself, and your auto attack trades are quite good. But it's mostly that mid-late game, all you have to do is throw the ball in a position, and she has to get zoned from it or take a big chunk of damage.
Well, in goes Meteos, the flash out of the Shockwave, and Crown didn't get hit by the Elastic Slingshot, so it should be okay. But both summoner spells down in trade for 0, apart from an ultimate there from Jensen.
It's a good gank. That's what I was talking about with the way you have to ward against Zac, because Zac approaching that level 9 only gets one more rank in his Elastic Slingshot for that maximum range, and he can easily come from the Raptor pit all the way into the center of mid lane. So Crown has to respect that.
Well, certainly did by pressing both his F and D keys.
Did you have anything else to add on the Cassiopeia Orianna matchup, LS?
No, I think you covered it actually pretty well. So there is that.
Well, in goes Meteos one more time. There's the knock-up. Let's Bounce comes down at the same time. The Crown still surviving for now. An Abyssal Voyage from CoreJJ nullifies the entire thing.
I hated that. Well,
I had a really bad time.
But like, the only thing they're really doing is forcing Crown to back and have bad back timings here. But who was going to kill him? It's like, you didn't really have kill potential there. Smoothie was there. Jensen was still walking back in from mid lane. So they're just getting Jensen pressure again.
Yep.
But now, immediately, CuVee will come up.
Possible heroic charge. Jensen does move himself back. Stretch Armstrong comes down for Meteos, threatening the slow. And Jensen smooth moves, dodges the axe. Oh, there it is once again.
I feel like now, at this point, we can say that Crown is, again, at full mana. Is going to be basically the same hit points as well. Jensen now is in a very, very bad position.
We'll be able to at least get himself the CS evened out once again, but we saw him winning the lane quite considerably early on. Looks like he's going for the Q max as well.
He actually swapped out his trinket for a blue trinket early.
Oh, that's actually pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Generally, that's something that you would do to get intel on the enemy jungler, or for dragon control, if you feel like you would need it for that. That's definitely something very, very specific, and it's interesting to see him doing it. But oh, well, hold that thought.
Good dodge by Jensen.
Yep.
All right.
Perfect. He gets the ghost out for nothing.
And dances his way back to base.
Yep. Now Ambition knows that there can't be a roam from mid lane, so he starts running straight down bottom. Like, Ambition's super effective and super aggressive here, too. I love how he's playing off of his lanes.
And he's getting a lot of intel right now. He basically is able to tell his team that Meteos is on the left-hand side of the map, because he entered into the right-hand side, didn't find anything.
Yeah, Meteos should actually probably dive here, but CuVee has TP, and that's what's stopping him from doing so.
Well, they do have 4 members towards the top side of the map for C9. Crown now looking to try and make his presence known somewhere on the map, but decides that mid lane is going to be where he's needed, as Jensen is once again pushing this one out. And can he find the Petrifying Gaze is the question. Not going to line up the ult flash or anything like that.
Well, this is actually really intelligent by Meteos. Well, it looks like Crown sniffing it out.
Oh, doesn't get...
Ooh.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, as soon as the ghost comes out, you kind of stop there.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate. No
Like,
flash from Crown as well. So
If like they're going super ham, then like Meteos flashes to the other side and R's. Like, and then maybe he bounces him into it, or maybe you just slap the ball right onto Meteos. But that looked like Meteos is just trying to get summoners, and Jensen's trying to get kills.
seemed as well like Jensen maybe hadn't put the ball on quite quickly enough, had already buffered the shockwave. I'm not sure, but it was a very, very late shockwave. And not necessarily what we've come to expect from Jensen, because his mechanical play, especially in an isolated situation so far this series, hasn't been bad at all.
Yeah, I think his mechanical play has been okay. I feel like his decision-making, based off of where his team is sometimes not the best. Especially, like, man, if he had a jungler that, like, he had heavy communication with, and he always just had good synergy, and they knew when he was nearby, and when he wasn't, somebody was like, hey, I'm not near mid, stuff like that, then it would work out way better for C9.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Jensen dropped the ball at that mid point where he and Meteos tried to force something for no reason, and they handed basically all the control back over to Crown, and when Jensen played too far forward, when Meteos was farming wolves. So, I mean, he played, I think, pretty well mechanically. I even think that he absolutely decimated Crown pre-level 6.
Ooh.
Oh, Jensen looking to try and help. Top lane here as Ruler has managed to pick himself up 2 kills.
Oh my god.
As Meteos looking to try and take him down. Ruler kiting as best he can, but it's a double back here from Meteos. Gets the flash out of CoreJJ as well, and Jensen not going to be able to find too much for himself. And Crown actually wants to try and at least get some damage down onto this Zac. Oh. A little bit late on the miasma as, oh my goodness, flash has to be used out of the shockwave.
Yeah, they're probably going to get wrecked here top.
Oh, CuVee.
Yeah, CuVee TP'd in. He actually interrupted Impact's TP and actually forced him all the way back, got his flash, and got his turret. So CuVee is just actually bodying Impact right now.
And also just gets eaten by CoreJJ, so they get the shutdown as well. They give it to the Tahm Kench. His Grey Health will be able to keep him alive as the tower was trying to take him down. So Samsung Galaxy
Ooh, this is
dive.
Smoothie's here, Smoothie's here.
Oh, it doesn't actually land the Q onto Crown at least. The mini wave turns up.
Well,
stop some backs.
Yeah, force them to take risky backs or just walk all the way back, because Impact on this Jayce could have a field day. Really well done there. Meteos, you know, he can't peel away the Olaf. I like how he knocks Ruler back there with the ultimate, and that's key. But then Smoothie goes down, and now it's just Meteos trying to beat up 2 people. Luckily, he does actually get both of them.
CoreJJ actually botched the animation cancel at the end there. I think Ruler potentially could have lived, but...
So what's the animation cancel?
Tahm Kench can apply his stack when his tongue is like halfway.
Gotcha.
And then you can do the Q during that animation or that frame.
You mean cancel your auto attack?
Yeah, like
Okay.
it's like an animation cancel on the auto attack.
Ah, gotcha.
So that would have been pretty nice. Ruler potentially could have lived there, but it doesn't really matter because at that point, with CuVee's teleport, it's just too difficult for Cloud9 to live there.
Yeah, the turret wasn't really much cover for Impact. Impact backs all the way up and tries to TP, gets interrupted by the Poppy, and has to blow his flash because he's almost dead. And then he loses his turret too, and then CuVee gets to go top. So CuVee is just kind of styling on him.
Yep. Very interesting, actually, to see Poppy in such a commanding position in this matchup.
Yeah, he got the solo kill early because the flash from Impact was blown, and that really tilted the matchup and got him ahead of the curve. And he's even investing in a Sheen early on to try and punish the Jayce, who's not going to buy him pretty much any more HP than this. It's really kind of unlucky. Also, it's something I've seen a bit with Jayce builds. I'm still not 100% sure, but I'm seeing a lot of Jayce's run Fervor and Rush Black Cleaver against Poppy. And personally, I think Thunderlord's just so much damage early to get lane control. But I'm not 100% on that.
I think that the Fervor just gives them a way to try to kill Poppy with their jungler before level 6, because the stack's just so powerful. But I definitely do agree that the Thunderlords definitely help soften up and just play combo-centric against Poppy. But I think it's just a stylistic preference.
I also like that it's magic damage too for the early game.
Ambition.
Just tiny thing, because she's going to build armor first.
Yep.
All right. Did see an attempted gank there from Meteos. They get themselves the Ragnarok.
Yeah, they're trading bot lane HP on this turret for that. And Meteos is going to try to flank here. They don't have teleport. They know that. Can't stop this from coming in if he wants to, but they're not really quite fast enough. Oh, that's great.
The crown doesn't have Let's Bounce, remember, but the boomerang from Ruler is going to fly across.
Yep.
Samsung get themselves out.
The Tahm Kench was banned previously, and it's just a big hassle to deal with.
I'm actually not sure whether it was it?
It was banned.
It was banned in the last game? Okay.
It was banned by C9 in the last 2 games.
Oh, cool.
They banned Tahm Victor Nidalee game 1, then Tahm Victor Olaf game 2.
Ah,
in this game, they went for the
Jin.
Jin. They went for the Jin ban, Victor Jin Nidalee. So Victor Nidalee has been constant for them, or Victor Olaf, depending on which side they're on. They just got rid of the Tahm ban for another bot lane ban.
Here's the Siege in the mid lane as Ambition looking to pick up his axe. Smoothie slowed down as Crown is going to be able to lock him up here. Ambition is going to eat the shockwave on his own as CoreJJ saves his life. Gobble, gobble, gobble.
Jensen has no mana. Oh, yeah. Impact with a fantastic shot right there. Actually cleared all the minions.
Well played.
Needs to buy time for Jensen to back.
Yep. I feel like Samsung Galaxy's minion wave control across all 3 of these games so far has just been so good. Whenever they've been making a play, their waves have been pushing. C9 has just found it difficult to deal with all of this extra pressure they've inherently been able to put down as Meteos. He's going to land on the ground. Half the health bar there as CoreJJ does at least get the nom, the flash out, and manages to spit him in the right direction as C9 just can't get anything.
Well, they saved the turret, and Jensen gets the farm bottom wave, so that's actually the best that they could have hoped for, and I don't think they had to even use a summoner spell to do that.
Yep, that was actually really well played by Cloud9. The trap thing, I don't know if that was completely intentional, but it was pretty cute to see.
It certainly was. All right, I think we could possibly get a Twitter question in here, gentlemen. And it's Sondra Lunde. I can't actually pronounce anything. Skipscap123 as Smoothie is going to die in the mid lane.
Ooh.
Wrong timing as Sneaky uses his heal, keeps his support alive for a little bit longer, but that's the double kill as CoreJJ and CuVee managed to pick those 2 up.
The question for me here is, why is Jensen still bottom? Why is Impact going top? Because top is a dead lane right now. It doesn't even, your tier 1 turret is a pawn. It should just be sacrificed in favor of gaining superior map position elsewhere. It just doesn't make any sense. So these games, Cloud9 versus Samsung, it almost just looks like Cloud9 is running around aimlessly and they're super passive. And if Samsung doesn't make a gigantic blunder, it's like they're always just giving the driver's seat to Samsung.
Yeah.
And that play in the mid lane from Samsung, it was really good, and they're doing this quite a bit, is they push the lanes, and then they just don't sit there and continue to push them. Once they get past that halfway point and they know it's going to continue to push a little bit further, they go mid, they try to make a play, and I don't know why Cloud9 aren't seeing that as a habit, and they're not respecting that. They're like past the halfway point when they don't know where top lane or jungle is, and you can't be doing that mid-game.
Especially after what they've experienced in the last 2 games, which is where this is the point where Samsung Galaxy seem to find a pressure point and execute on it every single time. You have to be playing with more respect and more care at this point of the game especially. So we have got to 22 minutes, 9-3 in kills here in favor of Samsung Galaxy. But still nothing above 2,000 gold in the gold lead.
Yeah.
Opportunities for C9.
Another interesting thing here as well is Sneaky actually maxed Trap second. He went for the Q max first.
The Forgiven and Uzi tactic.
Yeah, it's less of a, hey, we're going to have a siege comp, and it's more of a, I need to dominate lane.
Or I'm going to die to Ambition on the top side of the map, which is exactly what's going to happen right now as Meteos, he's also now trapped. He is going to flash away, but CoreJJ is going to eat him. I believe he's going to go down to some bloblets, but can they take on
a TP on
3 members of Samsung Galaxy's Impact? Is he going to keep in here as Meteos is going to come out of his bloblet form? He's still looking to try and get more done as the Petrifying Gaze is going to catch Smoothie, and he's going to die as well. The tower's going to fall afterwards.
Why didn't he go?
I'm not sure, Zirene, but a whole lot of things happen.
What?
I have no idea.
Oh, Impact should have gone. Wait. Oh, I gotta watch that again. I'm in disbelief. Did he?
Or maybe he had it cancelled by the fact that the bloblets turned up again. Something like that.
Maybe. I don't know if like CuVee Impact.
It was interrupted by Poppy. Yeah.
They did manage to find a kill though in the mid lane.
Yep. So
See
yeah,
Ruler.
CuVee is kind of MVP of this right now for me.
Oh, Impact. He's in a heck of a lot of trouble now. He gets the knockback onto CuVee, but he's still going to be able to smack him in the head. Jensen says, well, I'm going to get myself some celebratory popcorn chickens from your side of the map and does run himself out of there as Sneaky. Oh my goodness, that is terrifying.
Dunzo.
The Brolaf from the jungle surprise attack.
Dunzo. That's absolutely disgusting.
I've seen this movie before. Yeah. But now it's on the other side as Ambition is going to get shockwaved for the kill. Jensen just saying, yeah, no, I need to do a lot of damage to you just to show exactly how I feel. Meteos goes for a run.
To be honest, though, I don't actually agree with Jensen using the ultimate right there. I guess it's not really going to matter because he has such high CDR, but I feel like that is a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have Flash. You know Ambition doesn't have any summoner spells available. He just used the Ragnarok as well.
It comes down to sending a message, I think, gentlemen.
that I'm completely exploitable now in the mid lane.
Or I'm willing to use more damage than I should because I want you dead that much. Something like that. It's a sign of dominance.
Yeah, I send that message a lot.
I totally understand you, Jensen, if you're going to watch this later. Don't worry, I completely get it. CuVee is going to throw a buckler at the back of the head of Meteos, but he doesn't really mind too much because he's a blob man. And he's just going to absorb it into his skull, something like that. We do have the question that I was trying to get to about 25 minutes ago or something like that. And it is in reference to you, LS, and it's where is the Twisted Fate? You keep suggesting it into Aurelion Sol. We haven't quite found it.
The Twisted Fate into Aurelion, I think, is the best possible mid laner that exists. Twisted Fate is. Then again, Twisted Fate is a very specific champion that requires your entire team to be on the same page, and it does require a lot of team coordination. So definitely, if you haven't practiced it, there was probably a very short amount of time that people were practicing against Aurelion Sol leading up to Worlds, so it just might not be in some people's arsenal.
You know what really sucks right now for mid laners coming into this tournament is...
What sucks for mid laners coming into this tournament?
A lot of things, but
no.
The one that I think is most prevalent is you only have so much time, and if you weren't playing Ryze and Aurelion Sol before, those two champions actually take a lot of time to be proficient on them. I would say like for Ryze, it's pretty close to like 20 games before you really get him down in the diversity of his combos and how to control lane. And Aurelion Sol seems pretty easy, but he's actually quite a bit harder than you would expect. So they're high mastery curve champions, but you have to invest the time. And if you're playing those and you have to play like Orianna at the same time, stuff like that, there's only so many scrims in a day.
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
It's rough to get down all those champions and be comfortable with them and have your team be comfortable with them too.
Yep.
That's what sucks for mid laners right now.
And it also does reward a lot of the mid laners that had already been playing a lot of these champions.
Yep.
Such as CuVee.
Yeah, they'll be pulling those bans for sure, like the Ryze this game.
And right now the Seraph's Embrace is completed for Crown, so his quest item is complete.
Yep.
That's a very, very big it's a
very
very big
hand that
power
in,
spike.
Crown. Gonna get yourself some experience in gold. 3 items though, definitely a big deal. Exactly right. And a lot of defensive opportunity here for Crown with his Zhonya's Abyssal and Seraphs. Do you think that might be overly defensive here for the Cassiopeia?
I feel like he just has to live. Like that. It's funny to say like he doesn't have to be like Glass Cannon in here. He just has to live long enough to deal the damage. So survivability just makes him even more annoying. And when you're ahead, having survivability, it just almost removes all the options for your opposition to get back in the game.
Almost compounds the lead, right?
Yeah. It's funny because it's like, oh, I have damage and I'm killing people. I should build more damage. It's like, actually, you have enough to kill them already, and you should build tanky.
So then you're not destroyed by 1 moment's CC.
Yeah.
Well, CuVee is going to try and set up for a kill onto Impact here. Does get the slow with the devastating blow, and he should be taken down. CoreJJ is going to eat him, spit him out, and that's actually a corpse once it does hit the rift once again. Miasma going to try and stop the rotational play from Cloud9 as Samsung Galaxy just tear through the inner turret on the bottom side of the map. And once again, it just feels like they're turning this game on its head. 5,000 gold the lead.
NA Jayce, NA Kennen, both becoming a thing right now. Like, it's also like the Jayces aren't really set up for success in these compositions either.
I just feel like Impact has not been having the day that he really wanted here in the quarterfinals. We were expecting a lot from this guy, but CuVee's just been all over him.
Yeah. Definitely started snowballing at the very beginning. Like, this is a matchup that Jayce should win in a vacuum, but Ambition paid a visit up there, which is interesting because rule of thumb now is usually like camp for your winning lanes. Don't camp a losing lane. Don't even like give them a gank or anything. Put your attention on the side of the map that's going to snowball. and this was just like enough for CuVee to take over the whole top side. 2 levels up, like completely immovable.
And he's got his 3 items as well. I mean, this guy is super happy with what's going on. Almost has Guardian Angel. Terrifying as Tongue Lash. Not going to find Sneaky, but there's the exhaust. There's the wall bang. And the Caitlyn is forced to flash. There are flashes everywhere. Zirene gets the auto reset and destroys the Caitlyn.
What is Meteos doing?
He's just collecting some bloblets.
Yeah, he's trying to fight Ambition over the pink ward, but
Going swimming.
yeah. Yes. The
Oh, no.
impact split push.
No.
Oh, that was...
He's okay. He's okay. It's fine. It's fine. This is
This is great because you can actually slingshot from the Krug pit in there. But
he's in the wall! And he actually just gets heroic charged immediately. He does have the passive up as he flashes over the wall in order to keep himself alive.
But ooh, impact.
Oh, the boomerang wasn't enough. Oh my goodness, that is a tiny little Zac coming out of those blobs, and that was so close.
Impact needs to pick up like a kill or 2 here
Or
because
5.
I mean, it's not impossible. Hit him.
He's gonna need to go back to. He's gonna have to
Nice.
land it. There it is. Okay,
Nice.
nicely done.
Yep.
That was actually really
That's the
good.
jungler too. So if they want to reset up for Baron, they possibly can here.
I don't know. I feel like Samsung Galaxy just in that funnel right there that you can see Orianna or southwest of Orianna's ball right now, leading into the river.
Yeah, right there.
I feel like right there where CoreJJ is. I feel like that's actually too strong of an area for Samsung Galaxy to threaten as long as they can get through the traps. But it looks like they're going around the traps. This feels very
Desperation
very risky
Baron.
because Poppy is so big.
Yeah, and
now
now they're
going
going
to charge
abandon
up the
people in the
helicopter as
pit.
well. See you later, jungler. Impact now going to get destroyed on his own in this Baron pit. Meteos is going to get himself back around. They can just hop back on the Baron if they want, but no. They actually want some more kills as everyone flashes in. Crown grabs the kill. There's the shockwave combo, but is it too little too late as Jensen's completely out of mana? CuVee can ignore turrets, possibly even ignore fountain laser at this point. This guy's so big. Yep, dancing around. Oh, you'll need another one there, CuVee. I have a feeling you might be able to get it. Nope, he's going to die underneath the turret. So there it is. The shutdown comes through. What a disaster.
All that remains the lollipop.
Oh, God. Hang up your hat,
Forensic
CuVee.
files.
We're done. We are done.
Oh, man. But that's going to be Baron. That was a 4v5.
Yes. And without the Olaf, without the possibility of a smite, Jensen didn't have his ultimate for, I want to say, about 10 more seconds. And that's a big difference in how you approach that fight as Samsung, is the threat of that ultimate.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything Cloud9 can actually do at this point. What I would like to see from Samsung Galaxy is you see CuVee. Looks like that's going to be a Dead Man's Plate being completed. I would rather CuVee just go Guardian Angel at this point, and also on Ambition just go Guardian Angel at this point, because then that just completely skews Cloud9's ability to do anything inside of a team fight.
Yep.
Is there a possibility that maybe he just picked up the Giants belt because he had 1,000 gold and doesn't think he'll fit in another back before they can potentially win this game?
I mean, spoken like a true LPL caster. It's like they buy like everything they can on their backs. It's like
They do.
Oh.
Name actually popularized it in the AD carry position, just making sure that he could get mathematically the most damage out of his items every single time he goes back to base.
like he would back, and it would even be like an elixir of wrath or something like that. Like 15
Really
minutes in the
weird
game.
Yeah.
It's like, all right,
Okay, man.
20 minutes in the game at Baron. It's like, we're going to fight at Baron. Elixir of Wrath comes out. Don't see that so much anymore.
No. I do like the idea, though.
Yeah, it's not a bad one.
And just look at how split up Cloud9 is right now.
Meteos is doing battle with CuVee randomly in the jungle.
Well, it looks like they're not even a team with how their coordination is. It doesn't make any sense how split up and the gaps between each other.
It feels so strange because it feels as if they want impact on some type of tank to like be a frontliner for this team. And when he's been playing things like the Kennen and not having like a split push like a Gnar where he can jump into the fight later and have some durability, and Cloud9 kind of looks out of sorts from what I've been noticing.
Well, Samsung going to turn their attention to the inner turret in the mid lane.
Yep. Yeah.
Super Creep's going to be milling down the bottom side of the map.
You can see Zac off on the side, Meteos looking for a way to get in, but he should
You might
check.
wanna
He should
check that
really
brush.
check the bush.
Yeah. Ambition. Ragnarok has to be used. Didn't want to push that button. You could see him being very apprehensive because they wanted to use that in the next engage. Good news for C9, but not a massive cooldown on that particular button.
He finally got the ward there.
Nailed
Nope.
it. Ooh.
Yeah, he's got Ghost, so he'll get away.
He's actually looking to try and fight this one out as Meteos is going to come in and Impact is going to be able to pick up the kill. So Ambition once again falls down.
But the problem is that comes at the cost of a turret.
Is that inner turret as well in the mid lane?
And also a completely dark mid lane now.
Yeah. Well, now they actually get the inside track on it.
Ruler.
Ruler.
Be on the hunt, but
and it's super good by Ruler as well. Like, most people just run straight away. He just started running the opposite direction to dodge the Zac, dodge the possibility, and goes after the Jayce.
He's also got a lot of items. Ruler now sitting on his 3-item power spike with the Rapid Fire Cannon, Essence Reaver, and Infinity Edge, but also has his Last Whisper at the same time. It's a very, very big Sivir, and that's a Lord Dominic's regard now as well. So, yeah, Sivir gonna be doing some damage. Yeah, is an understatement.
Yeah, almost Flame Horizoning sneaky as well.
Yeah, it's like a full item up.
Oh my god. Yeah, well, he is
Very,
a whole
very
lot of the
close.
team's wave clear at the same time. You can see 50 CS up is Jensen as well over Crown because that ball has been clearing out a lot of the minions that have been shoving in.
Crown soloing the Mountain Drake.
Yeah, and I think that the Drake may have been something that Cloud9 could have picked up after they got the kill on Ambition instead of running mid and trying to get Ruler. I understand that getting Rulers, you know, they didn't really expect him to be able to outplay like that, but it looked like the Drake was pretty ripe for the taking there.
Well, certainly did. Crown made it look so. He was able to twin bite it to death.
Now, the one thing, though, that Samsung Galaxy does not really have is the ability to just full-on dive a turret without that Baron buff, unless Cloud9 takes a very poor position, or if Ruler gets some really nice chunks off onto Cloud9 champions.
Yeah, right now, though, they're like rocking so much durability on CuVee and Ambition, and even CoreJJ can have the turret swap aggro off of somebody. Like, it just feels like the damage and tankiness ratio of Samsung is just way higher than Cloud9's right now.
Yep.
They're still doing a ton of damage. It doesn't matter that they're all this tanky, and it's so hard to actually remove these guys from the map too. And oh man, he just tickles that Cassiopeia. It's like nothing.
Yeah, well, Crown's as well. He's got basically 4 defensive items. If you look down the line, the Rylai's Crystal Scepter has been the last one that's been completed. Impact now has to deal with these super creeps. That has given Samsung the ability to move towards this mid lane. Inhibitor turret doesn't take too much damage. Difficult to siege with the Sivir like you guys were talking about, but C9 still holding on as desperately as they possibly can with Caitlyn and Jayce back in base, though. This could be an opportunity for Samsung. And look at this tower fall down so quick as Ruler going to get eaten. CoreJJ is going to spit him back out. They take down the turret. Meteos bouncing around the fight, but CuVee just soaking so much aggro.
It's a 4v5 too. Ambition is over by the Wolves and came running towards the mid lane now. And they still weren't able to even get an opening in Meteos.
Goodness.
And now the bounce of the crits to the entire team. Just, oof.
They're just getting ran around the map here. C9 just seem to be out of sorts.
Yeah, they have the fountain back here too. Jensen has no mana. Like Crown, even ulti and like try to run people down. They're just losing so much off this.
This is so bizarre because this is, I feel like, such a standard defense to execute with the Caitlyn traps. It's very easy to just bounce back and forth and
sneaky.
time your fountain recalls, but their coordination is just so weird right now, and it looks like this is probably going to be the game.
Yep, it's not enough to be world class, so they're going to have to go home.
Oh, big 3-man shockwave though as Meteos does at least get a very small slingshot into the middle of the team. Some softened members of Samsung, but with 3 inhibitors down, it's going to be so difficult to mount this defense. Jensen runs back to the fountain. Impact still has a lot of health. Smoothie trying to do what he can, but Samsung still have so much damage that they can bust out onto these Nexus turrets. Just need another couple of waves, perhaps. But they don't even need to wait for that as Nexus turret 1 falls down. Crown now able to help siege this one up. Ruler moving over to the side just to make sure he doesn't get picked off. It is going to be Crown falling, so the Cassiopeia does not survive this last siege.
Yeah.
And, okay, CuVee just walks
turret,
in.
Though, yeah.
Oh, really nice steadfast presence.
Oh.
He's just getting bounced around. And CoreJJ gonna eat him.
Yeah.
Nice tongue lash.
This is actually
Sacrifice.
If they can get this, their inhibitor bottom just respawned. I don't know if they'll be able to actually defend it or not.
That was cute.
That was nice.
Oh.
Nope.
So that will be 7v5.
Yeah,
Has 3 inhibitors down. Well, I think it's actually a little bit worse than 7v5.
Because, yeah, Baron just respawned, and if you were able to actually clear these minion waves out, you wouldn't be completely helpless in a Baron contest, but it's even worse, and they can't really leave their base at all. It's like not even close to feasible.
Yep. No, at this point, I just don't think that they have the necessary resources to really resist. I think that Samsung Galaxy just goes over to Baron, eats it, and then immediately beelines for their base and takes it.
I think the best thing that we should be talking about right now is the fact that if Cloud9 managed to turn this game around, get a win, and reverse sweep, that would be the best story in League of Legends history.
Man, you go from an 0-12 bottom lane to winning when down 2 games. It'd be actually incredible. Like, Smoothie and Sneaky have been playing quite poorly throughout this entire series.
Yeah. 0-12 and 12 is not exactly, that's a 1 KDA.
It's like they haven't been respecting the vision that Samsung have on that bottom side, or the fact that Ambition could be there. Like, Ambition is kind of getting away with murder on this Olaf.
At least 4 times.
Because nobody's like respecting it. The guy doesn't even go over walls or anything like that, but they aren't keeping vision control in the crucial areas that they need it. And he just walked like,
oh god, Ruler does so much damage. Impact in trouble. Ricochet not up just yet. As there's the knockback, they get rid of Smoothie. The shutdown comes down onto Ruler. The Nexus turret is going to be the focus though. They can't kill CuVee in time. Shockwave's there, but the Nexus is all they want. 11,000 gold. Samsung Galaxy with one of the most decisive best of 5s I have ever seen. That was quick, and it's really hard to be a C9 fan at this stage.
Do you know what Cloud9's Nexuses and Galaxy Note 7s have in common?
What?
They explode.
Oh, you've been sitting on that, but it was well executed, my friend. Oh, God.
I don't know really what to say. It looked like in all 3 of the games today, Cloud9 was just ultra passive, and they looked like a chicken with their head cut off at certain points. And Samsung Galaxy was in the driver's seat almost every single second.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well because I wouldn't always classify them as passive. It was like really strange bouts of aggression that weren't warranted. Like, they would push up too far mid. Oh, now you're ganked by Ambition. Like, Ambition's timing on these ganks were really good, and he was kind of preying on the fact that Cloud9 were pushing too far up at weird times. Like, sure, you have Caitlyn Karma, you push the Sivir and the Tahm Kench in, but then immediately, it's like from Fog of War, from the side that you should have warded, out comes this Olaf, and it's like, as a jungler, that feels really bad because you're ganking topside with like a gap-closing jungler that has like an elastic slingshot to get in the lane, and you're like, oh man, I got his flash, maybe I'll come back later, I had to blow my flash, whatever, and then you're like, my bottom lane just got ganked for free in like the easiest gank route ever. It's like when the enemy jungle walks over Scuttle Crab and still gets a gank off bottom. It's like, how? But that's what happened in this series was Ambition was getting really quite easy ganks off because they were not respecting him.
Yeah, and what it looked like to me was just incredibly clean League of Legends from Samsung as well. I mean, Cloud9 was they were pretty competitive in, I guess, the earlier stages, but it's the fact that Samsung Galaxy didn't need a lead to capitalize on anything. They just knew what they had to execute. They found exactly the right times to do so and did it. And I don't know, it just felt clinical.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's actually something that I think that Samsung are showing over all the other teams right now too.
Yep.
Is like fastest game time in the tournament, then beating it immediately afterwards. Like when they get a lead, they know how to close it out. They have like the structure and like they know like, all right, step 1, 2, and 3, let's go. And what risks they can take and when to get the Baron. Like we're seeing like 23-minute Barons. It's really fast. Whereas Rocks, you know, kind of messing around a little bit more, not as clean. SKT, almost the same, but they kind of brute force things down with like superior players at the moment from what I've been seeing. But Samsung is like, yep, even though we don't have like a faker on our team or, you know, some god player in the jungle like Peanut, it's like they're still going to be able to close the game out off of great macro play and off of rotating and out-rotating you.
Yeah, it's more like better decisions that they make as opposed to better players necessarily.
Yep. And the only game where they ever looked vulnerable was that very first game in Week 1 against TSM where they picked the 3 losing lanes double tier comp.
Yeah.
And TSM just rolled over them via Bjergsen and Syndra. And outside of that, they have looked like the cleanest team this tournament. And they've only dropped 1 game the entire tournament so far, and a lot of their wins have been super decisive.
Yeah, and even if that, you know, that one loss in the first week, their first week didn't look as dominant as their week 2. So the fact that as this tournament continues, this team is looking better and better. I mean, you got to be terrified looking at the semis. And I mean, who is it, H2K or Albus Nox that is now going to be going up against this Samsung Galaxy lineup? I'm going to be very, very frightened if I'm one of those heading in to that matchup just because they have looked so scary.
Yeah, I feel like Samsung are heavy favorites to make the finals, no matter who comes out of that other side. Even if it's H2K and like Ryu versus Crown, well, still Crown.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Ruler versus CoreJJ, or Ruler CoreJJ versus Forgiven Vander. It's like, I don't think it's enough of an advantage to actually press. And in some cases, it might not even be an advantage.
The thing for me about H2K versus Samsung Galaxy is H2K, so far, at least to me, has been a win lane, win game type of team so far.
Yeah.
And the thing for me about Samsung Galaxy is no one has actually pushed them to their limits of their late game, which is their forte. So I don't know what's going to happen when H2K, even if they do get lots of leads, I don't think they're going to be able to close it out against Samsung Galaxy, and then it's going to reach a point where everyone has 5-6 items, and then Samsung knows what to do, and H2K doesn't.
Especially since that's been H2K's weak point, is
Yep.
those mid-late game decision-making situations, and that's Samsung's best, like you said.
Yep.
Yeah, and bringing it back, because of course this last game was a focus on that mid lane as well. I mean, I do want to talk about what Crown was actually able to execute, because what was his role moving into that late game, trying to get things done? Because it seemed like, he was sitting back just a little bit, but when the fights broke out, he was doing exactly what he needed to do.
I think it's just heavy damage, stay alive. Early game, it's all about just having low risk, especially with a Zac. Don't die to the Zac, don't get camped, don't give over kills to the Orianna. And the way he built, every single item that he built had some defensive property to it, except for the Void Staff that he got last item.
Yeah.
Because all he needs to do is just not die, not get poked out by the Jayce, still stay relevant, and zone with the miasma.
Yeah, and it worked out incredibly well. But that will do it for us on the Player Experience stream. Join us again tomorrow as we welcome special guests Alex Ish and Gate onto the caster desk. We'll take a look at the bottom lane and middle lane matchup, as well as take another dip into the fog of war. But for everyone here on the Player Experience stream, thank you so much for watching. Now we'll send you to the main stream for an interview with Samsung Galaxy's CuVee.